This is Mac OS Ken.
Apple calls time out on the App Store changes. Last year was a down year for Apple Watch, and more big announcements from Apple TV Plus. It is Thursday, the 8th of May, 2025. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by OpenCase. MagSafe for iPhone perfected. Get 10% off your purchase with code MacOSKen at theopencase.com. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. Appeal schmashmeal seems to be the word of the day. Of course, that's two words, except one's not a word, but still. Appeal schmashmeal seem to be the word and noise of the day. Having said that it plans to appeal last week's ruling by Judge Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers in the Epic case, the piece from 9 to 5 Mac says Apple filed an emergency motion Wednesday requesting a stay on last week's ruling. Since the ruling a week ago, the piece says high-profile apps including Kindle, Patreon, and Spotify have updated their applications to direct users to their own sites to make payments, avoiding Apple's in-app purchase commission. Guess what Apple is trying to stop? According to the report, Apple wants to delay two key mandates: the ban on charging commissions for purchases made through developers linking out of the App Store, and the ban that stops Apple from saying how or where developers can place such links in their applications. 9 to 5 Mac has Apple arguing that those provisions go far beyond the original 2021 injunction, which was not enforced until 2024. While Apple indicates that the original restrictions only barred it from prohibiting links, the report has Apple arguing that the new restrictions are punitive, create new legal obligations not previously litigated, and would cause irreparable harm by costing it hundreds of millions to billions of dollars annually. Apple also claims that the district court violated due process and improperly engaged in price setting, which it says violates California law and the U.S. Constitution. Plus, Apple's going to win on appeal anyway, says Apple, so a stay is warranted to avoid harm to its business model and platform. Filed with the Ninth Circuit, Apple has asked for a decision on the stay by the 28th of May. Remember on last week's earnings call when Apple CEO Tim Cook said he and his don't believe they saw obvious evidence of a significant pull forward in demand in the March quarter due to tariffs? In other words, they don't believe they saw obvious evidence of people buying iPhones last quarter because they were worried about iPhone prices rising due to tariffs. Remember that? Boutique Research or Consumer Intelligence Research Partners, or CIRP, thinks the signs are there that that was what was happening. Apple Insider wrote up the firm's findings. According to that, 39% of U.S. iPhone buyers in the first quarter of 2025 replaced phones that were at least 3 years old. That is up from 30% in the same period over the past few years. While CIRP didn't ask about that directly, the firm suggests that the March quarter surge could reflect tariff anxiety. While nobody can draw a direct line, there are dots to connect. The same Apple Insider piece said several carriers in the U.S. reported a sales bump in March and April, hinting that buyers were trying to beat potential price hikes. If you caught Siri spying on you, you could be in for tens of 20s of dimes for something. A piece from Mac Rumors says people who owned a Siri-compatible device and had an accidental activation of that service between the 17th of September 2014 and the 31st of December 2024, they may be eligible for a payment as part of a class action lawsuit settlement. According to the report, Apple in January agreed to pay $95 million to settle a suit involving Siri spying accusations, and a website to distribute the funds has now been set up, and those eligible to submit a claim are starting to be informed via email. Oh, I guess I should have also asked how you are about lying. The piece says people who had an accidental Siri activation on a device over the 10.5-year time period and who say the technological whoops happened during a conversation that was meant to be confidential or private can get a payout. As many as 5 incidents can be claimed for as much as $20 per incident, though it could be less than that depending on how many claimants sign up on the case. I gotta say, there's dumb, then there's dumb, then there's this. Do you have to say what the potentially damaging discussion was about? And can Apple rebut, either by arguing whether the subject was that potentially damaging or by playing back what the accidental recording actually said? I know that's not going to happen, but it would be hilarious. I'm not saying that Apple shouldn't have the answer for the gaffe, but the amount of money's not real for Apple nor for individual consumers. Probably a decent payday for the law firm that brought the case, though. The final approval hearing is set for the 1st of August, according to the report. What's the time? Time for Apple to get a new watch, it seems. Either that or time to get ill. Maybe both. Counterpoint Research put a face on Apple Watch numbers in 2024 on Wednesday, and it was not pretty. According to the market tracker, shipments for Apple's wearable fell 19% last year, marking a second consecutive annual decline. Apple Watch was down everywhere except India, according to the firm. That said, the hardest hit seems to have come from North America, which contributes more than half of Apple's smartwatch shipments. 2024 sales were said to have been hurt by Apple having no new Apple Watch SE and no new Apple Watch Ultra. So guess what Counterpoint thinks will help this year? According to the firm, to make a comeback in 2025 and retain its market share, Apple needs to focus on a few things, including the introduction of new features, launch of Watch SE and Watch Ultra models, and possible design upgrades. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, OpenCase. MagSafe for iPhone perfected. We talked yesterday about how OpenCase makes room for wireless charging. Well, it makes room for a lot more than that. Originally, the idea was to make a case with a hole in the back plus a little bit of lip. Cut to the size of Apple's MagSafe accessories, the open space in OpenCase kept Apple's MagSafe wallet and battery from sliding around, or worse, sliding off. That made sense, as did OpenCase making accessories of its own. The pop holder, the mag wallet, the standby stand. Between Apple and OpenCase, you can probably get whatever accessories you're looking for. But what about accessories you've already got from other companies? Those will probably work. Despite the various iPhone sizes, MagSafe is MagSafe across the board. Third-party accessories have been made to work with MagSafe, which means coming in at about the same size. If you want to know for sure, check the accessory footprint. If it's 96mm tall or less by 65mm wide or less, you're in. Or it is. Functional, versatile, and stylish, that's OpenCase. Go to theopencase.com, pick your case and accessories, then use code MacOSKen at checkout for 10% off. The cases are available for iPhone 16 and currently on sale for iPhone 14 and 15. If you're ready to secure the accessories you have, or finally see what MagSafe for iPhone can do, get 10% off your purchase with code MacOSKen at theopencase.com. That's 10% off your purchase with code MacOSKen at theopencase.com. Wondering what songs everyone's wondering about right this minute? There is a playlist for that. 9to5Mac says Apple's audio recognition app Shazam has launched a viral chart playlist for Apple Music. The description, which is thick with PR speak, says the list captures the full spectrum of songs blowing up right now, whether through streaming, socials, TV placement, or that random 2004 banger suddenly resurfacing at bars and baseball games. Boiling that down, it should be the top 50 most Shazammed songs on a given day, updated every day. Number 2 on the list on Wednesday, 1987's Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now by Starship. It's the end credit song for Thunderbolt, which is really good. Thunderbolts is really good. Pretty sure they use Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now ironically. Anyway, the viral chart playlist is up now on Apple Music. Apple TV Plus is going hardcore with announcements this week. Way off in the distance as one gazes across the calendar, news of a new drama starring Hugh, Laurie, and Thandie Newton. A press release from Apple TV Plus teases The Wanted Man. According to the description, The Wanted Man charts the rise and fall of Felix Carmichael, the elusive and powerful head of a notorious British crime syndicate, The Capital. Untouchable for 20 years, Carmichael is finally apprehended, but while he's held in prison, it becomes clear that he's been betrayed by one of his own. As the traitor moves to dismantle the empire he has built, Carmichael must risk everything in a daring escape, willing to stop at nothing to take his revenge. If he succeeds, he'll be a wanted man once more. Yeah, I don't want to be that guy, but escaping from prison, he'd be a wanted man still. The show is created, written, and executive produced by Hijack creator George Kay. No word on a release date for The Wanted Man. From a series coming who knows when to a movie coming in just over a month, another press release from the Cupertino streamer brings an official trailer for the film Echo Valley. Starring Julianne Moore, Sydney Sweeney, and Donald Gleason, Apple's description says the edge-of-your-seat thriller centers on a mother, played by Moore, struggling to make peace with her troubled daughter, played by Sweeney, a situation that becomes even more perilous when the daughter shows up on the mother's doorstep, hysterical and covered in someone else's blood. As the mom pieces together the shocking truth of what happened, she learns just how far a mother will go to try to save her child in this gripping tale of love, sacrifice, and survival. There's a trailer for the flick now on YouTube. Echo Valley hits Apple TV Plus on Friday, the 13th of June. And finally today, I was at a party in Hollywood a year ago last month when I heard some really horrible news. I know what you're thinking. You were at a party in Hollywood? Okay, Hollywood adjacent. Glendale. There were entertainment types there. I'm not bragging. The point is, at that Hollywood adjacent party 1 year and 1 month ago, I heard some really horrible news. One of the people in attendance said that the Apple TV Plus series Foundation was dead, done, killed after the second season, leaving the story incomplete and cliffhangers unresolved. While I'm sure he was not lying, I was pretty sure he was incorrect. I am now totally sure because Foundation Season 3 has a teaser and a premiere date. Set 152 years after the events of Season 2, Wednesday's third press release from Apple TV Plus says the Foundation has become increasingly established far beyond its humble beginnings, while the Cleonic Dynasty's empire has dwindled. As both of these galactic powers forge an uneasy alliance, a threat to the entire galaxy appears in the fearsome form of a warlord known as the Mule, whose sights are set on ruling the universe by use of physical and military force, as well as mind control. The teaser leans into a lot of Star Wars-style action, which is fine. You can check that out for yourself on YouTube. Foundation Season 3 starts its run on Friday, the 11th of July. macOS Ken, brought to you by me, and sponsored by OpenCase, MagSafe for iPhone perfected. Get 10% off your purchase with code MacOSKen at theopencase.com. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can find me on Mastodon, MacOSKen at mastodon.social. You can also send me an email, info@macosken.com. Until next time, that is news from macOSKen. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.